I'm Bharat Vijay. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of HAIF, which is AI in heart failure. I'm here with my co-founder and inventor, Dr. Abhijit Ray, and I'm going to share my screen and take you through this story. So first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Uli and the InnovatorMD Forum. We just followed your guidelines, inform, inspire, ignite, and we hope to do the same thing today in today's talk. Um, since we actually did really well in the last forum, we've had enormous traction. The feedback from Jay and many of the other judges, we took that to heart, and we're through our right now going through our seed round, and we already have a lead investor offers coming in. So let me share my screen and get started. So we are revolutionizing cardiac care itself because it's no more about detection of cardiac conditions, it's predicting them so that you're not telling somebody they had a heart attack. We're actually going to tell them that they are likely to have a heart attack with a very, very high accuracy. And we're doing that for a condition called heart failure. So let me inform first. So whenever there is stress in the body, the heartbeat feels it. Whether it's mental stress like the previous speakers were speaking, or physical stress, hypertension, if it is just even anxiety, 4 months of straight anxiety can lead to serious cardiac problems. Even high cholesterol, thyroid issues, post COVID, every beat of the heart is aware of it, and over time this affects the heart and the heart muscle. When the heart muscle becomes compromised elastically, that condition is called heart failure, and there's almost no going back. As the renowned Dr. Nat Pandian puts it, all roads lead to heart failure. While that may be a little dramatic, this is definitely the global pandemic of today, and that's one of the problems that we've started to solve. Now, the hearts gives you a signature. The signature of the heart is in the EKG. There's both an electrical component and a mechanical component. There's been a lot of work done in the electrical component. People detect arrhythmias and many other things, but the mechanical has been incredibly elusive. And that's where Dr. Abhijit's breakthrough is going to make a huge difference. Today, even many cardiologists cannot detect the mechanical signature. HAIF's breakthrough has come through by physicists, cardiologists, and AI experts coming together for the first time in cardiac history. We are able to predict the onset of heart failure up to 90 days in advance with an accuracy of 99%. Heart failure has been a silent killer. It affects over 64 million people worldwide, and there is another 50 to 60 million people that don't even know they have it. And that's where HAIF comes in. Just from an EKG alone, in just within 3 minutes, we're able to predict it. We don't need any personally identifiable information. We don't need to know the BMI. We don't need to know the gender. We don't need to know anything about the patient. We are able to assess from the EKG what's the health of the heart itself. In fact, the science is so strong that the European Society of Cardiology has introduced a term called impending heart failure, which they're also calling Ray's disease after our co-founder. This can reduce the gap in the poor outcomes related to cardiac costs. How it works is really simple. All we need to do is take the EKG, either a digital or a PDF, upload it using our API, and within minutes, processed result comes back to the same machine with a traffic light display. Either there's a risk of heart failure, they need to see a general physician, or they have a very high risk of heart failure, which means they need to see a cardiologist, or there is no immediate risk of heart failure. The product's already been working, and we're actually in use in hospitals overseas. We believe this is the best solution because it's very easy to set up and it doesn't really need a sophisticated radiologist. Even somebody like me who's semi-trained, I've actually done more than 1,000 tests in the last year alone. There's no time lost in waiting, and it doesn't require any of the other expensive equipment in order to do this. We've tested on both wearables and 12 lead EKGs, and the solution has been working very, very well. So just to set the record straight, we're not trying to replace the ultrasound or the NT-proBNP tests which are in use today. Those are being used to detect heart failure once a person shows up with a pedal swelling or with serious palpitations and fatigue. What we are trying to do is catch the folks that are in impending heart failure that don't even know they have this problem. And we can do it within 4 minutes at a substantially lower cost with almost a 99% accuracy and almost no observer bias and without the need for very sophisticated trained professionals. So this allows us to scale this solution worldwide. A little bit about the market potential. HAIF can displace about $150 billion in the US alone that is currently being used for the prediction and treatment of heart failure. And this amount is about 358 billion worldwide. And there's close to over 1 million hospitalizations in the US alone, each of which costs between $10 and $15,000. So we're in discussions with leading US healthcare systems and device manufacturers to integrate our solution. Our plan, we formed the company about a year ago. Prior to that, we had already done our clinical trial in 3 different centers. We were awarded a full US patent for our ability to pick up the mechanical signal of the heart. And in 2025, we're going to be focused on opening some markets and focusing a lot on compliance. In 2026, we plan to expand into the US and EU significantly, and our goal is a public offering in 2029. Our financial projections are very strongly revenue and profit driven. Our technology is already built, we're already in operation, and our market will start scaling initially overseas and then next year in the US. And we expect to make about $175 million at the end of 5 years. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We've built our first uh, prediction already, and that product's in the market. Our second product has been tested and it is being published and coming out. This addresses the 250 million people that already have heart failure, stroke, or other ischemic complications. We can catch potential complications for them even while they are developing, increasing their time and quality of life. We've also in the process of building a coronary artery disease marker that can tell you both the position and the intensity of the blockage. And we're working on a solution that can work for diabetics worldwide. All the products that we're building are prognostics, and pretty much all of them can do it right off the EKG itself. So, with any medical field, there are risks and challenges, and we have tried to mitigate them significantly. So, we've already got a HIPAA certification, CCPA, CCRA. We've got the ISO certifications for both security and privacy. We've completed our cybersecurity penetration tests, and we're getting ready for our QMS and filing for CE and US 510K this year. So a little bit of Inspire. We've already been awarded the patent. We won the top startup in last year's contest. Our publications have already been accepted by the European Society of Cardiology. They've been published at ESC, accepted by New England Journal of Medicine. We've already completed 20 health fairs in 3 continents, testing over 3,000 people. We've been covered in the USA Today and the London Daily News. We're already in the money on customer revenues. Our seed round is underway and we're ahead in compliance. A little bit about the team. We're led by Dr. Amar Ray, and Amar is just coming off a very successful exit in the cardiology space, where we built the first invasive electroanatomical mapping system that is able to use AI to help doctors do cardiac ablation. That product got FDA approval in record time, and the company had a very successful exit. So the entire team has come together to build this product. I'm the CTO. I have a background with senior roles in both Yahoo and Amazon, having built very large, scalable systems processing real-time data. And our genius is Dr. Abhijit Ray, also on this call. Abhijit is on his way to Harvard to take up a professorial position and continue his research work in heart failure. And his invention and inventions are the core of what we're offering. We also realize that our message has to reach the masses. Kevin Jaskowiak is an expert in digital marketing to help us brand with the audience at large. And Zach Selch, who many of you know, has been responsible for even taking GE's products worldwide. So we believe we have a strong team and we're ready to take the next step. We raised an angel round last year. We were oversubscribed by 40%, and we are rallying under the banner One Nation, One EKG. We already have 3,000 people that have been tested. We found several people just in time, including people who are very, very close to me, who had close to a 4-inch block in a coronary artery and didn't even know about it, eluded all the current tests in the market. And we were able to detect that. We've already tested on the
Yeah.
Framingham Heart cohort with
Time
over
check.
21,000 lives. We're raising a 5.25 million seed round to scale the operations and expand the IP and strengthen our sales. And finally, one world, one EKG. I just want to ignite everybody's imagination that just through this EKG alone, we've developed the know-how to be able to tell what's impending and really change people's quality of lives. So we'd like to welcome all of you to join us and support us on this mission, both as a company and in terms of what we can do for impact.
Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. Really, really nice job. Just a couple of quick reminders and then we'll jump into questions. So each startup's going to have about 10 minutes to present, about 5 minutes for Q&A. So if you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand. And while we're waiting on those questions to pop up, I just want to remind our judges to fill out the scorecard in real time so that we can announce the winners at the end. So if for any reason any of our judges don't have the link to that, just shoot me a DM and I'll make sure you have it, or I'll put it in the chat in just a moment, just directly to you guys. But what questions do we have, if any?
Yeah, I'm curious just to know if, given what you said about the U.S. commercialization start, which is not happening tomorrow, obviously, what is in between you and starting in the U.S., speaking as a U.S. investor?
Yeah, actually, technically we can get started in the US. We actually don't need it. There are actually products in the market that don't have FDA approval. Um, but that's the only thing that's in the that we're in the process of doing. But we can technically get started here as well. We're considering that option. There are ways for us to launch in the US, as an advisory and potentially take it to the market.
And if you
But
do
we
go the FDA route, have you done a pre-sub meeting with them? Do you know what they require of you to get to the finish line with the FDA so that you can go that strategy?
Yeah, so we just actually the whole team is just coming off a successful FDA approval in a 3D EAM system, Jay. So and our CEO actually worked in the on campus in the FDA for about a year. So we have a fairly good idea what is needed from our side, and we're completing our QMS process right now, at the end of which we will go through the FDA approval. We expect that it should be pretty quick because we've already completed our clinical trial. We have the data. We're already in use in hospitals. We have that data. And we've completed a lot of the technology vulnerabilities like cybersecurity and many of the other penetration tests that the FDA will require for a product of this type. And we don't have a device of our own. So, we've tested with about 50 different devices out there. So the burden on us in terms of hardware is significantly reduced.
Makes sense. Thank you.
So, Bharat, in your presentation, this is Vince Coley. You mentioned overseas word. So
Yeah.
what overseas have you, can you a little bit go deeper to break down what continents, countries, what kind of
Yeah.
data?
So we've done a full analysis of each country and the requirement for launch in those countries. A lot of the countries in Asia and GCC do not require FDA approval. So we are working with hospitals in those geographies. We're just getting ready to go to the GCC. Which is the Gulf. We've identified partners in that space. And so with UAE and Saudi and a few other countries, there is a strong interest for the product. And in Asia, obviously, there is both strong interest and strong requirements. India, for example, has about 8 million people with heart failure, which is 1/8 of the world's heart failure load. And the government knows they have another 10 million that they don't know who they are. So they want to use this product to find that out before the cost on healthcare becomes very huge.
Okay, thank you. If you don't mind, we have to fill one of the criteria is impact in our judging criteria. If you have a snapshot for this information,
Yes.
DM, so I can appropriately rank it. Thank you.
Yeah. So we have actually been selected by many groups of hospitals. You may be familiar with the SAI group. We've been selected by them for from an impact perspective. We're actually conducting many free health fairs especially for the lower income populations, and we're detecting people and getting them the right cardiac care in time. Dr. Abhijit can also add a couple things here. But yeah, we've been very strong on the impact side and directly saving lives. In India, for example, the cost of heart failure hospitalization for a family is of the order of 9 lakhs, which is about maybe 15,000 USD. And by detecting it in time, you can actually prevent the underlying condition from happening. So it's the underlying conditions that cause irreversible heart failure. So uncontrolled hypertension and things like that. So we detect it just before it's going to go into irreversible heart failure and make a huge difference to the quality of life. Among the lower income segments, it's much more prevalent. So, for example, in the US mainstream, it's 4 to 6% penetration. But as you go to some of the other communities like African American, it's 12 to 15%. Among Native American population, it's 25 to 30% prevalence of heart failure. So our ability to detect it and have this impact is really huge. And we're talking to Native American tribe leaders right now to take the product across that segment.
Thank you so much. This was fantastic. Unfortunately, we're out of time for questions, but really great presentation. Next.